I hear you, Vincent, but I don't hear Trusty or Steven. Hey, what's up, everybody? Thanks for stopping by on the stream. We'll get started right away. We're just getting all the technical stuff set up and we'll get started. Again, if you guys have any questions on games development, how to get in the industry, or just being a software engineer in general, I can help out with that. I work at a game studio, so um, I know artists. So if you guys have any questions about becoming an artist or becoming a designer, let me know. Shoot me some text in the chat and I'll reply as soon as I can. I am kind of monitoring the stream for my friend here, so do give me a chance to multitask, I guess. But today, this is our third session. If you guys haven't been watching the stream, if you guys haven't been watching the stream, this has kind of been a nice little career workshop. So if you guys are interested in becoming software engineers, we're pretty good at that because most of us are software engineers. But a lot of this stuff applies to any position, right? Go ahead, feel free to ask any questions and we'll help you guys out. Let me see if I could adjust this just a little bit. Let me. Whoa, I'm disappearing. Whoa. It's that forehead though. No, I got that light right above me. Alright, hopefully that's a little bit better. But yeah, let us know if you have any questions. We'll get started as soon as we get some technical issues set up. Actually, I think it's about to happen, so let me. This is my friend Trusty, and he'll be talking soon and giving us some help. Yeah, I hear you good, Trusty. Alright, we'll go ahead and get started, guys. Yep, tested it on YouTube. You sound good.
Cool and
Alright, guys, we'll go ahead and get started. Again, if you have any questions during the interview or during the workshop, go ahead and send me a message. But yeah, enjoy the stream and let's get started.
art. And I think a lot of people who is watching today is like, we just have a lot of coaches, but and we have one, yeah. So Vicky is from Cal State LA, and he's here with us, and we are recording it here so other people can can join it later. So I'm gonna start now, and I'm gonna do the same thing. So I'm not gonna show my screen with the slides, but you can follow along with on the slides that I gave you on Slack. And today's topic is about the interview process. Basically, the job from slide number 3. Okay, see here is a test drive, right? So this someone is going to buy a car, and basically, if you want to buy a car, you usually want to test drive, right? You want to know that the car is working, it's safe, and it's working as you expected. And in ideally, build the car from the factory and they ship it to the showroom, right? Why can't you just go there and just get the car, right? Why do you have to test drive? Why do you have to be there has to be a salesman that show you all the options and everything that the car has to offer? Because you don't trust the product yet, right? And the car is pretty expensive. You want to make sure that it's worth your money, right? And it's reliable. So that's why there's a test drive and there's a salesman there that you see in the picture. And imagine yourself when you want to get a job. It's pretty expensive for the company to pay you the salary too, right? And so they want to make sure, they want to trust you, they want to make sure that you have something that they need, you have something that you can offer them. And imagine yourself as the salesman, the guy in the black suit there, that you're going to be showing the potential employer what you can offer, what is your option, do you worth the money, are you really the expensive car that you are talking about, or are you a second-hand car, a used car that someone else can buy it, so there's so many things going on there. And interview is just like that. It's like a test drive, and you are the salesman that you are selling yourself. So let's go to slide number 4. The job interview is, it's like for employer to quickly understand your personality and your competency, right? When how do they know that you can work there? And they don't have a lot of time to understand you. They don't have like 2 months that, okay, let's have this guy work on something, and if it doesn't work out, we can move on to someone else, because the business has to go fast. And the interview is basically maybe 1 day or half a day to understand what you can offer. Basically 2 things that they want to know about you is personality and your competency for the job. And performing at a job interview is pretty different from performing at work or at school. When you work or when you study at school, is pretty different from usually people think that they are similar, but actually they are pretty different. When you work, you want to get something done, but when you perform at the job interview, it's totally different. You want to show that you want to show something quickly so they understand quickly what you can do. And this kind of analogy is very similar to what I said earlier about the car salesman too, right? Driving a car or renting a car is really different from testing drive, right? So, and when you test drive, you want to get a lot, you want to understand a lot of information about the car. And interviewing is the same thing. So to perform well at the job interview, you need to improve two things. First, your interpersonal skills. When you go there, make them like you, make them trust you instantly. And the second one is your technical knowledge. Sometimes you don't have to know like uh, sometimes you don't have to have experience and have work on something specifically that much, but you have to have the knowledge of uh, the technical stuff that they are looking for. That is very, very important. Like same thing like the car salesman. He doesn't know how to build a car, right? But he's very knowledgeable about the car option and what you have to offer. So you can think about that kind of analogy. So basically two areas. One, personality, you have to improve your personal skills. The second one is your competency. You have to improve your technical knowledge so you can talk about it. And let's move on to slide number 5. So I'm going to talk about the interpersonal skills. This is something that basically you have to make them instantly, make them trust you, right? Because you are there, they have no idea who you are. They look at your profile on LinkedIn and they look at your resume and they kind of, okay, I want to talk to this person, but I don't trust that you are what you said on on the paper yet. So now the interview is the time for you to make them trust you, right? And basically that one is a lot about sales skills and the soft skills. And when a lot of engineer like myself, I don't like sales that much. You know, a lot of people think that it's like these people only think about money and they're trying to take advantage of you because you want something, right? And they're trying to sell you something. They just want money, and you know, some salespeople are like that, but a lot of salespeople are not like that. And the way to think about how to improve your sales skills is like just try to be a helpful person. And I have a link on that slide. Be a helpful person. You click on that, you can read more about it, what it is about, and that is the article that when I read about sales, this is what genuine sales is. So try to be a helpful person. You know that they want something, and you try to offer something that is useful for the other person. That is what it is. And there are some keywords there that you can think of as sale as helpful or being a partner, right? So when you go to job interview, um, you can build that kind of relationship with them like really quickly. Like, okay, you give me this kind of question, let me try to partner with you. Say you don't understand um, this question, you can ask question back, right? Or if you don't know how to solve it, maybe you can ask like, okay, why don't we solve together? Can you partner with me and solve it together, right? You can show that even if you are not competent enough, you show that you can help them and they can help you somehow. You can be a problem solver and building relationship, and you want to show that uh, you are here to offer them a mutual benefit, right? So, and getting a job is basically that you have to have mutual benefit. You want to get a job, you want to get a salary, you want to have good title. They also want to get something done, right? So you have to build something like that, and when you after this, you can think about this keyword a little bit more, like be a helpful person, be their partner, be a problem solver. You can be a relationship builder, or you can make the situation be a mutual benefit for both parties. Um, And so the next one is like the soft skill is, like I said before, is it can be developed. You don't have to have that when you were born, but it can be developed, and it also takes time to develop. So if you think that sales skill, soft skill is not your thing, I would say, well, you have to start now, because it takes some time to develop. Say you're gonna go to interview in 3 months, and you know, but say you have a year, right? For example, you have a year to get a job after you graduated. You can start building now, right? You have a year to build it. But if you wait a little bit longer and longer and longer, and you wait until like, okay, next month I'm gonna have to go to job interview already, that is like can be already too late. But you know, start sooner is the way to go. And from my experience, because I'm like a lot of you, I don't have good interpersonal skills. My English is not that good. I'm afraid of job interview. It's the same thing that everyone has. And what I learned is that there are some courses that can help you with this. The first one is Dale Carnegie course. A lot of salespeople go to this course, and I didn't know that before that it's for salespeople. I just went there because one of my mentor asked me about this one, and they said that okay, he said that if you want to improve the personal skill, you can go to this course, and I just went there, and it helped me a lot. They teach you really good there, and you know, they have books. Dale Carnegie has he wrote a book before he already passed away, I believe, and he wrote a book and he built all this course to help people with communication skills. So I went there, and it changed my life basically. The other one, I did that a little bit. It's called the Art of Charm. It's an online course. You can go there, and they're gonna make you do something, but I would say it's not as powerful as the Dale Carnegie course, just because Dale Carnegie course is on site, and communication you have to do face to face. I think that one is more powerful. But if you cannot afford like Dale Carnegie, you don't have time to go there. I would recommend something like Art of Charm, that you can do it online, and they're gonna make you do something in real life. So you can improve your personal skill from there. And let's go to slide number 6. Slide number 6 is because a lot of people, including myself, we have fear of going to interview, because we thought that these people are like senior developers and they know a lot more than I do. How can I answer something that impress them, right? So a lot of people have that kind of fear. So how do you break out of your fear, right? And I did that. I actually did it myself. Like, if you know me 10 years ago or 15 years ago, I'm super introvert, and I don't like going to interview. I don't like talking to people at all. But somehow I broke it out of my fear. And now if I have to interview with someone, I can do it. I don't have any problem with it. They can ask me something that I don't know about it, and I can probably talk about something there, normally. But the fear, I still have that kind of fear in myself. It's just I'm more comfortable talking about it. I'm more comfortable going to the interview now if I have to. So, and I was looking around, and there was one thing. The first idea is to, how do you break it down? You have to allow yourself to be vulnerable. And okay, that is the concept, but how do you do it? And I was searching around, and I found 3 of them. There's actually a lot of them right now on the internet. if you search for like how to get out your fear, how to get out comfort zone challenge, you probably some of you probably saw that on YouTube or some other channel before. But this three that I listed on the slide number 6 is what I found, and I think it's working. I actually tried today. Actually, the first one is about like 7 days comfort zone challenge. When you click on that, you're gonna see like they're gonna they're gonna show you how to do something, right? And basically you follow what they are doing, and every day you're gonna have to do something that will get you out of the comfort zone. The second one is 100 days of rejection. I found this one from TED Talk. This guy lives in Texas, and he has a fear of rejection. He fear that a lot. That's one of his biggest fear. And he thought that, okay, if you fear that, why don't he just go and try to get a lot of rejections to get out of the fear. And this kind of concept is actually science. If you go to psychologists, they're gonna say that it actually works. So basically, when you are not comfortable with something, that's how your brain works. If you do it again and again and again, you're gonna get used to it. One thing that I talk to my colleague at Mind Research is if someone is scared of height, how do you get out of that? And he said that his name is Martin. He's a researcher at Mind Research. He said that that's one technique that you just get some people who scared of height. You just there are two ways. One is you just improve it a little bit by a little bit. Like now you stand on the chair and be comfortable standing on the chair, right? And you're gonna get to the next level, like standing on the table and look around and try to get yourself comfortable at the table level high. And you're gonna keep improving that a little bit, like go to the rooftop of the building, or go even further and further, or even do skydiving or something like that. That will eventually get you out of the comfort zone. And the second technique is you don't go step by step, you just do it. And this kind of techniques that I show you here is not like step by step. It's something that you just do it. And it's not like high like interpersonal skill improving. It's not like something that you have to be scared that much. It's not like if you do it wrong, or if there's something goes wrong, it's not gonna be that dangerous. That's what I want to say. Say they reject you, and they reject you, and there's nothing wrong. I mean, there's nothing dangerous about it, right? So that's why it's okay to just go there and do it, rather than just like go step by step. Because when you just do it, it's a lot faster to get out of your comfort zone that way. So this guy, back to this guy from Texas that he did 100 days of rejection. He actually did something, and he posted on YouTube every day what he did. The first one that he did was like he went to ask his coworker $100, and he was so scared that he's gonna say no, and that guy actually said no, and he just ran away. And there was like a few other ones that I was watching. Like he went to a market and tried to get someone to go to dinner with him, and he did it, and everyone said no. And when you do this again and again, and they say no, you're gonna feel like, oh, okay, rejection, saying no, saying no is not that bad, right? And you start to get used to it. So that is that guy. The last one is pretty interesting. And this is a girl that she did something because she has a lot of fear in her life, and she wanted to get out of her fear. So what she did was like 100 days. She was going to do every single thing that she was scared of every day for 100 days. And she did the same thing. She posted on YouTube what she did, and now she has some kind of community to get out of the fear. And one thing that I remember that she did was like she was she feared about quitting a job, and she actually did it. And that was like, for me, it's like, I'm not gonna do that, like no matter what. I mean, I'm not scared of quitting a job, but it's just not me. That I'm not in the situation to get out of the job right now. But this girl actually did like a lot of extreme stuff, like skydiving. She was scared of a roller coaster, and she did it. Like quitting a job, I think, is like really big. And the last one she did was a TED talk. So she did a public speaking, which is like super out of comfort zone. Like when I think of that kind of thing right now, if I'm gonna do TED talk, I don't know how I'm gonna do it either, right? So it's pretty extreme. So I want I want to tell you that is the fear is okay. You're gonna always have it, um, but it's something that you can break it out. And the moment that you can break it out is you're gonna feel much better. And it's not just about interviewing. It's not just about the job. It's useful at the job, but it's gonna help you personally in your life, how you think of the world, how you interact with other people. So I would really recommend doing it. So I actually did it. So I was looking at the 7 days comfort zone yesterday, and I look around and I thought that, okay, what are they doing? Like right now, I can pretty much do anything, like anything that they are doing here. So I did. If you go to slide number 7, you're gonna see one thing that the 7 days, the 7 day comfort zone challenge asks you to do for the first day. And the first day, what you're gonna do is you're gonna go to a public place where there's a lot of people walking around, and you're gonna be laying down on the floor at the public place. So I look at that and I thought that one is like, I mean, for me, if I have to do this like 10 years ago, I wouldn't do it. I would feel like it's really out of my comfort zone. But today, I was thinking about this, and I thought this is like pretty easy for me, because I actually did like many other things like in the past few years that I'm not scared of this kind of thing anymore. So I went to a plaza close to my house, and I was looking for a place that, okay, I thought that this plaza might be a lot of people. So I went there and I thought that it's gonna be easy, and I just go there and lay down there. So I did it, and you saw the picture that I took today. Um, Actually, the hard part for me, actually, let's go back a little bit. So for me, I wanted to try out if I if I'm already a little bit out of the comfort zone, and if I do this, is it gonna be beneficial for me? Because I'm not scared of something like this anymore. And I went there. I was looking around at first, and actually this plaza I went there at 3 p.m. today. It's like pretty quiet. There's not a lot of people there. So the challenge for me was to look for people, and the first place that I did was in front of a Starbucks, and there was a group of people sitting outside of the Starbucks on the picture on the left hand side. So I went there and I just basically went to next to them and sit down and lay down for 30 seconds. And it's nobody cares about you. Maybe they'll look at you, but they're not gonna come and say that you're doing something bad, or you're not supposed to do something like that. And eventually, when you lay down there for a few more seconds, you start to feel like, okay, yeah, it's pretty comfortable, and you feel like this is nothing wrong at all, because nobody say that you are doing anything wrong. But the first one is like I did. There's not a lot of people there, so I was walking around and I found another place that there was a lot more people walking by, which is in front of a grocery store. It's Ralph in the same plaza. So I went there and I was like kind of just sit, and then I lay on at the front there, and people just walk by. Some people look at you and they have like some strange look, but they didn't say anything. Um, but there was one girl which is in the picture, that with the dog. She actually came and asked me if I'm okay, because I was like laying down in the sun at 3 p.m. And she was like, "Are you okay? You're not passing out or anything?" Right? She was trying to help me, but I told her that I'm okay. So you can see that when you do something strange like this, people are not that bad, and it's totally fine. And after that, I got up and I feel like, okay, it actually helped me, because I feel like all the barrier is gone, and I was thinking about, okay, now that I did this already, why don't I do a few more things? So I actually did the rejection. So, and my wife called me to buy some stuff for her, for the baby. So basically, I went to CVS, which is not very far from there, and I bought these two medicines here for the baby. And I was thinking, okay, can I do something with the person who, the clerk over there? So I went there and I asked him, I asked him like, okay, I have question for you, and I put this on the counter, and I asked him like, do you know they have like, you have like buy one get one free everywhere, right? Can I buy this one and can I get this one for free? And he has like really, really strange look at me, and he said, well, he didn't say anything at first, and he's like, what do you mean? And I said, buy one get one free. And I said, oh, do you have any sign that say that? And said, no, but can I buy one get one free? And he said, no, I don't think so. But and he was like not really comfortable with me, but I know that I'm doing this to get some kind of rejection, and I got it, and it feels okay. I actually feel like it feels for me. It feels like a joke, and I was going to laugh, but I didn't laugh, but I kept smiling, and he was having some kind of weird look at me all the time, and I thought, okay, well, okay, I did the first one, and then my wife wanted me to buy a vegetable, so I went back to Ralph. So I bought one salad, and when the moment that I went there and I was going to get a plastic bag to get the salad, I was carrying the salad, the vegetable, and there was a woman, a group of people walk by, and I asked them like, excuse me, can you bag me this vegetable? And there was actually an older lady actually came and helped me. So she grabbed the bag and she opened the bag and helped me put the salad in the bag, which is like very, very nice. There's something like this that when it will get you out the comfort zone. And it's not that I'm super extrovert or I'm a superstar or anything. I'm still introvert, but when you break out your comfort zone, it's easier for you to do something that you thought is not possible for you to do. Well, And the story is not just that. Usually when I went to check out the salad, and usually I don't talk to the clerk at when you check out and you pay for something there. But this time, for some reason, I already feel like I broke out already, and I need to talk to someone. So I look at this guy, and I saw this guy has a tag, and his tag, he has his name on it, right? And he said that no, the tag has some kind of title, and I asked him like, what is the person in charge? The title is person in charge, and he explained me something, and he said he used to be a manager, and now they put him in the at the checkout session, and he's kind of like, he doesn't like that they put him in the out of the manager or something. There's something like that usually I don't talk to them. I don't even care what they are doing, but now it feels like, oh yeah, this is my place. Everything here is like, you can do anything. And the moment when I drove home, and there was a neighbor that sometimes I say hi to, but I don't usually talk to. And I stopped my car, and actually I stopped and talked to the neighbor for like 15 minutes before I got to my house. And so the result from this kind of challenge that I did today was like, I think it's really, very good. I want to do it again, but I think I want to do maybe something that not that extreme, but something that I want to get myself out of the comfort zone. Now I can feel like, oh, okay, now I understand why. I understand the people. Usually, a lot of American people are like that they can just go and talk to stranger anytime, any day, and they feel comfortable. Now I can feel that, okay, this is the kind of feeling that they have. And I think if I practice this a little bit more, I can do this really, really comfortable. So I encourage everyone to try this out. If you are still in your comfort zone and you are trying to break it out, it's gonna feel a little bit strange at first. You're gonna be there, and maybe you feel like something strange, and you think a lot more before doing it. But on the other hand, for other people that have already got out of your comfort zone, or you are like super extrovert already, try it and let me know if it helps, and I believe it's gonna help you as well. Okay, so that is my experience, like how do you get out of the comfort zone. And I think if you can do this, it's gonna help you a lot with the job interview. You can you're gonna feel much better at the job interview to talk about something that, so you don't have the fear of rejection or the fear of people judging you. Okay, so well, I think I went over that like a lot, and we still have a lot to go, and I want to hand this over to Vincent. So Vincent is gonna talk about the job interview process. So I was talking about the interpersonal skills, right? Which is like the personality side. Now Vincent is going to talk about the technical knowledge side. So Vincent, if you are ready, feel free to jump in and talk about this.
Okay. Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So yeah, like from what Stephen said, interview is very stressful and very uncomfortable. Throughout the entire interview, a lot of time I felt really awkward when talking to people because my communication skill was not strong, and I was really afraid of these kind of awkward confrontation. But then as it continued and then as I practiced, I got a little better, and I was able to just kind of talk to a stranger like he or she was my friend. And that's very important when you do when you go through your interview process. And also for the rejection part, I was rejected a decent amount of time, but I also have a friend who sent in one application to Zillow and he got the job. And that was the only interview he had. So the experience would differ from people to people. But the interview process, when you go through it, the process is very similar to the 5 I have on slide 8. So you're going to have a recruiter call, coding challenge, a behavioral or core knowledge interview, a technical interview, and it usually ends with an on-site interview. So each of these I will talk about in more detail as I continue. So in slide 9, I was going to talk about why they do these kind of tests. So the first one is to test your communication skill. They will give you a problem and they want you to really understand the requirements. So if you don't understand something or you have questions, they want you to be able to raise it, because in the workplace, they be able to be open to any kind of question you may have instead of just following up on the side and blocking everybody else. The second one would be whiteboarding. So when you whiteboard, you have to analyze and you have to design. You have a fixed amount of space because the whiteboard is only so big, and you have to really plan ahead. So the whiteboarding really tests your planning ahead kind of mentality. And then you have your build and code. So this is your technical knowledge. So any kind of languages that you say you know, or algorithm or data structure, they're going to test you through these technical interviews. And then number 4 would be review and testing. So a lot of time people think about software engineer as you just code, and the testing, or if something broke, then it's not my fault. It's the QA's job to find them and then tell me that, oh, this broke. But then when they're testing you, they want to know that you can write good code and it's not just going to be full of bugs. So that's number 4. And last one will be system understanding. So deployment and maintenance. So when you code, you also have to think about what the next person is going to do with your code. So when you leave or when you are going on a different project, you're handing off your code to someone else, and they need to be able to understand your design choices and some of the code syntax. So that's why in this case, they also look at your comments and look at how you can convey your message by clearly through the use of comments. So going into our first interview process, it will be a recruiter call. So the process, the recruiter call is very casual. It usually ranges from maybe 15 minutes to 20 minutes at max. And they're really just talking to you as your friend, or just talking to you and asking you a little bit questions about yourself. So some of the most common questions would be, how well do you know the company? How well do you know the position and the team? And can you tell me a little bit about yourself? So these are the most common questions. And some tips and tricks I have is that you always research the company very well and very thoroughly. So let's just say for if you want to work at Google, right? So you have to understand Google is what kind of company it is. It is a web service company. Its main attraction would be the Google search engine. And then there's also a bunch of things like Google Docs, YouTube, stuff like that. You have to understand all of their products. You also have to understand their newest development. So if you were going to have a conversation with a Googler, something that you can say would be, oh, have you heard about the new, but how is the new Google Lens? Or how did you guys come about to developing it? And just having these conversation about their product with a recruiter, because most of the time, even if they're not technical, as in they know how to program it, they do know the product in and out, and they do know the companies that they're representing. And another thing that I like to do is when they ask, why did you choose this company? Or like, why did you choose Google? I always like to have 1 to 2 things that set them apart from the competitors. So if I were to interview with Google, I would say something like, oh, Google really focus on diversity. They they also really focus on employee health. They don't go overboard and they don't push their employees to their absolute limit, and they understand the work-life balance. Just little things like that will really help you kind of persuade your recruiter that you like the company for the company itself and not for the money or stuff like that. And another one is understand their mission statement and vision. So when I was interviewing with Apple, one common theme that I always go to was I want to, at the end of every interview, I want them to know that I think differently, that I have a different kind of mindset that I can bring to the team. And I am a diversified individual, and I think I can contribute a lot. So always have one theme that you're going to pursue and stick with it. And another one is ask a lot of questions at the end of your interview with your recruiter. Make sure you show a lot of interest, ask questions about the company. And also, whatever's on your resume, if you have internship experience or work experience or your education, be able to talk about them, because it's really weird if they ask you, what did you do here? And then you don't know what you did there. So the next slide, it's one thing that a lot of people ask is the about you, the elevator pitch. So almost every single interview, every single company I have interviewed with, they always ask me, oh, tell me about yourself. And that's usually the first question that they ask. So I break it down into 5 sections. The first one is education. And then I have programming languages, the tools I know, the experience I have, and the focus that I want to for my career. And you would just have under a 1-minute elevator pitch, you will talk about all the main points that you have, tie it all together, and tell them why you think these specific attributes that you have fit into the role. So for me, I would start with, hi, my name is Vincent. I currently am studying at UC Davis with a double major in computer science. It's called an elevator pitch, and just help them understand what you want out of this. And the next slide is some questions that I asked my recruiter. The one thing I like to ask is, what on my resume stood out to you? This is just kind of for data collection and just some kind of feedback. So when they tell me what they like and what they didn't like, I take into account and I think how I can improve the ones that they didn't like, and how I can showcase the ones that they do like. And also, I asked about their general culture, how they think the company is heading, and as well as the next step. So just kind of like how long does it take to get the next round, or how long does it take to get a reply? All right, so the second interview process would be coding challenge. Sometimes you do get to skip the coding challenge if you are more experienced, but right now, as applications grow, the companies like to just send out mass amount of coding challenge to maybe thousands of people, and then whoever passed will get their interview. And it's a very easy way to filter out people that they don't want to interview. So this would, in my opinion, is the second most difficult interview in the interviewing process, because they kind of do know that you can look on Stack Overflow or look at documentation, and they want to test you farther than just something that they can talk about in a phone interview. So one thing that what they want to do is for you to find an optimal solution within a given time. While they can look at your coding style and coding design, they want to look at your comments. They want to look at how you pursue some of these specific details. And sometimes they are monitored, so don't cheat with the browser. So if you're chatting with someone on Facebook, they will know that. And they also do some kind of browser screen capture. So if you were to kind of just, what's it called? Like if you were to have multiple tabs open that show that you're not being kind of like a truthful person, then they can tell. So the range for this goes from 45 minutes to 1 month. I had a really long project where they asked me to create this OS operating system diff program. So some examples of these coding challenges is, for an easy one, would be like a reverse linked list, where you have a different pointer and you just kind of move the pointer backward. A medium question would be given 4 numbers, find the maximum time possible. So if you were given 1929, the maximum, if you rearrange it, it would be 1929, so it would be in military time. And if you were given 1234, then you have to rearrange it such that it's 2341, being that it's 11:41 p.m. So this would be like a medium question. And a very hard question, sometimes it's kind of unreasonable. I actually got asked one of these questions. It's a rat and maze with cheese and collect all the cheese, then go to destination. This one was pretty unreasonable because it's a TSP problem, and most of the time it takes a while to design it and get the optimal solution. And then for a very long question that takes multiple days, it would be create a directory diff program that takes multiple directories. So not just only 2 directories, but multiple directories and multiple files, and output their differences. So if I were to pass in maybe 4 to 5 directories, you have to be able to tell what their differences are. So going to the next slide, it's the problem that I got. This one, it would be a very difficult one, and they do come up, these very difficult ones do come up in interviews, and it's always good to understand how they work, and as well as understand how to solve them. So given a n by n matrix representing the maze, so it's kind of on the right, the text matrix, so not the picture, but the text matrix shows 0, 1, 2, and 3. So your goal is you are a mouse that starts at the number 3, and you can only walk through places that are 0. And then if you reach a wall, you can't pass through it, and your goal is to collect every single cheese inside this board. So you see how there is, I think, 5 cheese here, and from the starting position, collect all the cheese and go back to the same position. So this is a TSP problem, and it is very hard. You have to use either Dijkstra or a different kind of algorithm, and it takes a while to code all of them. And you have to also use some kind of heuristic, or else you will go over time. So this is just an example of a very hard problem that I had received. So for the next slide, I have some tips and tricks. Number 1 is when I was coding during the winter, I found myself not typing fast enough, or have some trouble typing very well, and warming your finger really helped. Another one is complete a lot of LeetCode problems and save the solution in an organized folder so you can look back at it. And the last one will be code each and every data structure and algorithm from scratch. It not only helps you understand how they work internally, but it may also come up in interview because sometimes they don't allow you to import modules. So you can't import a heap. You have to actually code a heap. So in the below picture, this is the few ones that I often encounter. So the first one, the friend circle uses DSP. It was depth first search. So DFS, sorry. The second one, insider trading, uses dynamic programming. There's topological sort. There's a trie structure. There's a heap. And there's without having to do too much. So for the next slide, it is all the interview questions I have. These are all from LeetCode or different companies that interview me. It's pretty messy, so there's a lot of files on their own, a bunch of folders. But this is really good because it really gives you a peace of mind when you're doing coding challenges. You can just type in search. So let's say if the coding challenge was reverse a palindrome, or actually not reverse palindrome, but find the longest palindrome in this string. Then I can easily just go to my palindrome folder and find the file that has palindrome in it and kind of understand what they're trying to ask. And it will help me pass the coding challenge. So for next one, it will be behavioral and core knowledge interview. So this one, there isn't any coding involved. Everything on your resume can be asked. They're going to ask you mostly on your experiences. And sometimes they also ask some trick questions. So an example would be, tell me a time when you did something. So the one I get asked a lot would be, tell me a time when you had to resolve conflict between you and someone else, or between two coworkers, or scenario based, such as, let's say you start working, your coworker are disrespectful to you, what do you do? And for the trick questions, there will be something like the coin flipping problem, where you have 100 coins, 90 tails, and 10 heads. Make two pile equal in heads. Or you can explain the Monty Hall problem. And also for core knowledge, if you're into Java, then they will ask a lot about memory management, or they might ask differences between a checked and unchecked exception. And most of the time, these are very important because they want to know how well you know your languages, and they're not just saying that you know stuff, but you don't actually know it, the internals of these languages. So next slide, the tips and tricks I have is always have a format of story, action, and resolution, and try to keep the answer under 1.5 minutes. So if someone were to ask you, tell me about a time you resolved a conflict between you and your friend, then start with a story. So give them a context. It's kind of at the bottom. Try to think of like a storytelling. So you want to have a background, you want to have a rising action, you want to have the climax, so which is usually, oh, there was actual huge conflict between these two people or between you and someone else. And you want to go for the falling action where you say, but I resolved it this way. And then the resolution talks about how you guys became better out of this conflict and how you were able to handle them. A way I think would really help is to see how someone you respect would do in this situation. So a person that I looked up to is Mark Zuckerberg. And I listened to a few of his talks, and you can really see that when he is talking about a very personal or I guess controversial topic, he slows down, he makes sure he thinks, and he makes sure he hears what other people are saying and address them. So that's something that I like to think about. And you can kind of tell that what I guess what story do work and what stories don't work. A good story would have the structure where you go from background, rising action, climax, and resolution. A bad story is very linear, where you just say something like, oh, this happened and I did this and it's over. And they usually don't want to hear that because it's kind of boring. So for the core knowledge, make sure you study core programming language as well. So if you said you're a Python engineer or a Java engineer, you have to be able to really understand how they work. And a lot of informations that I use are Google. I use Geeks for Geeks a lot. And I also have books on specific languages that I read time to time. Or else I just use documentations online. And it's okay that trick questions are kind of rolled out right now for many bigger companies because they know that they don't really prove anything. So you don't have to worry about trick questions like how many windows in Seattle or stuff like that. So for the next question, for the next slide, these are the common questions that I get asked for behavioral, and I list them into 5 sections because they usually fall into these 5. And the first one would be conflict. So they will ask, what kind of conflict have you had before? The one that I use is that during my internship in a Scrum meeting, we were talking about how to use GPS, if we should just have the fastest route at all times, or should we also allow familiar routes? And it was the difference between familiarity and speed. And I was able to ask them to maybe get a A/B test to see which one is better. So that was a conflict that I resolved through the use of technology of A/B testing. And for struggles, I created this iOS calendar app. I developed the front end first, and then the back end, which is a huge error because if your back end doesn't really work, you have to redo the front end accordingly. So I had to redesign everything. So for the struggle early, shows that it was something that I mistakenly did before, but then I'm getting better and I'm learning. And for weakness, one thing I like to say is the sunk cost fallacy. So the behavioral question would be something like, oh, what is your greatest weakness? And I would say, oh, I sometimes do not know when to quit. I will continuously think about it until I can get an answer. But I understand that that is not the best solution at all times. And I'm trying to fix it by having a 25-minute rule. So if I think about a problem for 25 minutes and I still can't improve or progress, then I'll go ask someone else. So this one also showcases that you have a weakness, but you know how to fix it. And the next one would be why software engineer. So some people like to ask and really gauge, why did you choose this field? So one thing I like to say is that I love solving Sudoku. I'm very interested in puzzles. And when I realized what software engineering was, it's you write a single line, which can be basically anything. It can be graphics, it can be algorithm, and it's very innovative. And I also love automation and I love simplifying life. And this is why I chose software engineer. The next one would be, where do you see yourself in 15 years? So I like to say that leading up to 15 years, I want to be a sponge. I want to absorb all the knowledge that people have around me. And in the end, I do want to simplify people's life through technology and help business grow using data-driven decisions. So these are the common themes for questions. And I think it really helps if people have their own specific experience that tailor to each of these 5 categories. Okay, so for the next section, we have technical interview. So for this part, you can have pure programming or someone just sit next to you or someone just is on call and watch you code. So for technical interview, it usually happens through either Skype, Google Hangout, or some kind of a call. So they'll call you and they'll ask 1 to 5 questions. And these questions, they can be in any kind of languages that you say you're proficient on your resume. So one huge mistake that I did was I wrote Python, Java, JavaScript, and I think C at one point on my resume. A company tested all 4 languages by giving me 4 coding questions during a technical interview. Java and Python, I did it with a breeze, but then for JavaScript and C, I had problems because I didn't review it as well. So definitely review every single thing you put on your resume. If you say you know a language, make sure by the time the technical interview come around, you really do know the language. And a good programming question usually have multiple steps that can be added, constraints that can be added and subtracted. So if it was something like code the longest common substring. Okay, now there could be a possibility of nulls, or there could be a possibility that the data type is not correct. How would you handle these constraints? And the next one would be kind of debugging code. So I've been asked a lot of time to debug code. This is kind of just telling them how well you can understand their code base and how long does it take for you to really understand what's going on. And make sure you do know time and space complexity because they come up every single interview that or technical interviews that I had with pretty big companies. One will be tell if a singly linked list is a palindrome. So how you'll do it is you find the midpoint and you reverse the linked list. And then the next one would be given a n by m matrix, find all possible words in a dictionary. So like a Scrabble game. And if any of you guys want to kind of solve the problem or see the solution for the problem, just feel free to hit me up on Slack or shoot me an email. And for the next slide, the technical interview tips and tricks that I have is always check Glassdoor and Career Club for previous questions and study all of them. you'll be surprised how often companies reuse questions, but not all the time. A lot of times they don't have the same questions, but practicing always helps. And when you're interviewing, do not stop talking. When you stop talking, it's super awkward for the interviewer. They don't know what you're thinking, and they think you're just stuck, or you don't know what you're thinking, or you don't know what to do, and you're just Googling stuff, or maybe you mute them and you're talking to your friend, and it's really weird, and they will probably give you a bad mark for taking too long, or at least stop talking. So make sure you always talk. And you can also bounce ideas off your interviewer. One thing I like to say is I will give a solution and I'll ask the interviewer what they think. And most of the time they'll be very honest. If they think it's a good solution, they will say, oh, I think it's a good solution, go ahead and code it. But if they think, maybe you can do better, they will say, can you do a more optimal solution? And when you do a solution, make sure you can kind of talk about it and say why it is optimal. So if you were given a solution, you have to get the time complexity, get the space complexity, and understand why your solution is the best solution for this question. And if you don't know how to find the optimal solution, it's always okay to go from brute force. So you start with a very simple approach, so like a O of n squared approach. And then you work your way up until you can make like an O of n approach, or O log n, or stuff like that. And make sure you don't show frustration, because if you're just sitting there and you're like talking badly about yourself, or you're sighing, or you're just mumbling, then it really makes the interviewer feel like you're not a really good candidate, because you get frustrated from challenges, and that's never a good thing to hear. So lastly, we have the on-site interview. So for the on-site interview, it's around 3 to 8 hours of interviewing. Usually if it crossed between lunch, they will provide lunch. When you're on the on-site interview, there's a bunch of different kind of questions that they can ask you. They can be more behavioral, they can be more technical, but most of the time there is somewhat of a whiteboarding. So make sure you understand how the whiteboard works, and make sure that whenever you code on the whiteboard, you give yourself enough space so that you don't run out of space, or you don't have your code that goes from right and then suddenly jumps to the left, stuff like that. And there might also be coding challenges. They might give you a laptop and just watch you code. I've had that before. There might be a pure programming where you have one monitor, you have 2 mouse and 2 keyboards, and you're both typing at the same time. He would say, oh, you implement the first function, I'll implement the second one, and then we'll join up and make them fit together. So that'll be pair programming. There can also be a panel interview where it can be 1-to-1 interview, 2-on-1 interview, or even 3, 4, 5-on-1. And these interviews are pretty scary, because it's a lot of people, and a lot more people, the scarier it is. How it works is that each person will ask a question, and then you will answer their question, and then it's like a 4-way conversation if it's 3-on-1. So make sure when you talk, don't just focus on the same person that asked the question, but move your eyes across whoever else is in the room, so they also feel noticed, and you're also answering a question to not just one person, but answering to everyone. So some tips and tricks that I have is you can research the interviewer. So one thing I like to do is go to their LinkedIn. I search up their interest. So when you scroll down, you can see what specific technology they know. So if you scroll down into their endorsements, you'll see, oh, this guy has 99+ endorsements for Python on LinkedIn. Then maybe you should study a little bit more on Python. And when you see this interviewer, you make sure that you talk to them a lot about Python. And that gives you like a little bit bonus point, because everybody likes to talk about things that they like. And another thing is know the company well. At this point, if you get an onsite, you need to really understand your role. You shouldn't really ask questions like, what does the company do or what this team does, you should already know if you were able to get an on-site. Unless you're like a generalist, then that's different. But you should really know your role and your company or this company. So make sure you ask questions that show genuine interest of working there. Ask questions. I have a few questions at the end that I like to ask that I'll talk about. Another thing is practice whiteboarding. Like I said, make sure you calculate how much space you need and just the space management on the whiteboard. Practice your communication skills. Don't be silent. Don't say a lot of ums. I know I do say a lot of ums. I try really hard to stop. So that's why I take a breather every time I finish a sentence, just so I don't keep saying ums. So another thing is also sleep well and relax. If you don't have good sleep, your head is not going to work and you might do something that you don't usually do, such as, hard coding or forgetting to comment, forgetting to use different kind of syntax, stuff like that. So rest well, and it really helps a lot. So the next slide just talks about some of the questions that they have and why they ask the questions. So for a technical question, they are really just asking you how good you are at what they're hiring you for. So if you don't exceed their expectation, like if you're not a fantastic coder, it usually can slide because it's easier to train someone to be a better coder than it is to train someone to be a better person. So if you come into the interview and you have a bad attitude or you show a lack of communication skills, it usually turns the interviewer off more than having a bad technical skills. So another one is debugging legacy code. They ask you the debugging code to see how well you can understand something that they have. So I've been asked to debug legacy codes a lot of times. They would say, hey, this is what we had maybe 2 years ago, and there's a bug in this code. Can you find it? So, and then they will time you, see how long it takes for you to understand all of this code and find the bug. The next one is for team fit. They ask you questions that are specific for the team. So if a team is very outgoing, they like to eat lunch with each other all the time, they might ask you, oh, so in your current workplace, how do you hang out with your coworkers? And these are questions that they want to know to see what kind of person that you are and how interactive you are with your team. Then they will ask you your career growth for a company fit. They want to know that your ambitions align with the company. So if you don't understand what their vision is, then most of the time they will think that you don't really want to work for this company per se. You just want to work for a company, and that's not very good. So always have somewhat of an interest in what you're working on, and they can usually tell if you're faking it or not. So if you don't like the company at all, I would say just leave the interview or cancel the interview before it gets too awkward. The next one would be for communication. They constantly want to talk to you because they want to see how well you can communicate your thoughts, how well you can communicate your experiences, and this really helps them understand how good of a teammate you will be. And the last one will be stress testing. They sometimes ask you to present something. So they would say, jot something down and we'll leave the room for 15 minutes. And when we come back, we want to see everything like done. So they want to see how well you handle pressure. They want to see how well you know how to manage time and tasks. And these are just some of the experience that I went through when I went on my on-site. There's some questions that I like to ask at the very end to show my genuine interest. So one thing I like to ask is their technology stack. I want to know what technology they use and kind of just put myself in it and say, oh, I know this technology. I know how to fix the problems that you may have and stuff like that. The next one will be what are the most common bottlenecks in your system? So this one is kind of saying, oh, I I'm very interested in what problems you guys may encounter, and I love challenges. The next one that I like to ask for almost all companies, especially the ones that sell, have some kind of sales according to holidays. So such as like Apple, So if Apple has to handle spikes during the holiday, a lot of people watch TV or a lot of people use specific software devices. How do you handle these high amount of requests, such as Super Bowl season or Thanksgiving? What kind of load balancers they use, and just understand what are the tools and what are technologies. Next one will be talking about a real life example of a software engineer, of something that the software engineer worked on, just to show genuine interest and kind of know what their life are about. And this one is my favorite. I like to say, in the case I am hired, what will be some projects that I will work on? The first phrase that says, in the case I am hired, it kind of puts you inside the room or inside the job already. They will feel, oh, the way he phrased it kind of feels like, oh, he's actually caring a lot and he wants to have this job a lot because he's already putting himself in the shoe. And the next one will be walking through an average day for you. So seeing how he spent his day, what time he gets coffee, what time he gets lunch, who does he get lunch with, stuff like that. And last one, it's where do you see the company heading in the upcoming years? And this is just really seeing how each engineer or each manager see the company. And all these questions I think are very good, and I've used all of them in my interviews. And yeah, that's all the information I have.
Okay, thank you, Vincent. That is like really informative and a lot of in-depth stuff that I actually for myself, I didn't know some of those before. So thanks a lot for sharing that with everyone here. And if you have any question, feel free to put it on Slack and we're gonna answer that. So let's go to the next slide. So we are basically done now, and I have some homework for everyone here. And this one is basically the challenge that I was talking about. Try the 7-day comfort zone challenge, and you can go back to the previous slides and click on the link. And also try 1 week of rejections. Okay, and let me know how it goes with you. The other part that there was a lot of things that Vincent was talking about, and I was actually thinking about a good homework for those, but a lot of those, if I put it as a homework, it's gonna be more like a coding skills or technical skills, which you can do it yourself. I don't have anything specific to be a homework for the technical skills. So feel free to go back to those slides and Google on something or ask Vincent about the question, and he can give you something really good to work on. So I think there's no question, but there was one thing that I was saying about the personality that you can change, but it takes a lot of time to change. And what Vincent was saying was actually true, that when the interviewer see you and you're not the type of the person that they are looking for, like you don't answer the question right away, or you're just like silent, too quiet or something like that, is they would say that, yeah, okay, they would reject that candidate right away. Like it's easier for them to reject the candidate based on their personality more than based on the technical type. technical knowledge, and that is because the personality you can change, but it takes a lot of time. It takes like years and years to do it, versus the technical knowledge that you can probably pick something up in a few weeks. That's why they do that kind of judgmental. But I want to encourage everyone. Personality or fear of interview, fear of public speaking, something like that. I want to say that you can, anyone can do it. If I can do it, anyone can do it. But it's just gonna take a lot of time. And I would encourage everyone to work on that on top of the technical knowledge that you're gonna have to have it anyway. And the other thing I wanted to say is what Vincent go over, like the code challenge, a lot of algorithm, a lot of challenging skills, pair programming, everything there that he was talking about is good, not just for the job interview, but also as a programmer, as a developer. It's always good to develop those kind of skills. You're gonna be, if you are a software engineer, you are a web developer, you are a mobile developer, you're gonna be using this skill for the rest of your life, for the rest of your career. So it's always good to develop it, no matter if you already have a job or you don't already have a job. It's always good. So I'm gonna leave it at that, and yeah, that's it for today, and I'll see you everyone on Thursday, the same time at 7. Oh, wait. So I actually have question from Vicky. I have heard from many that the interviewer always like to know something about you, which is not in the resume. Is that true? Vincent or Kaushik, do you want to answer that?
Well, in my opinion, well, I guess in my experience, most of the time when they ask, tell me a little about yourself, they want a briefing. So, yeah, it is true that sometimes they want something that is more than your resume, but at the same time, they also want something that is kind of ties to your career and your goals and what you want to do for the company. So when I was talking about me, I skipped a section where I try to tie what I have to what I can offer. So each time when you say something about yourself, you have to take consideration into which company you are interviewing for. So if I'm interviewing for Apple, I want to cater everything I say towards a common thing. So the common theme that I had was think differently. So I would say I will kind of showcase my broad experience, and I'll showcase why what Apple wants, and then I'll tie it together. So every single one of my pitch, they are kind of similar, but at the same time, they differ by specific details depending on who I'm talking to.
Yeah, and that is true too, because well, for me, I interview a lot of people, and I ask a lot of questions about you that is not on the resume. Basically, I want to know what kind of person are you, what kind of personality are you, and usually that kind of information is not on the resume. So say I might ask you like, what is your hobby, right? That is not on your resume, but I want to know what is your interest. Like some people say that I play music during the free time, and now I know that okay, this person, which is a software engineer, and software engineer usually they are more logical. Usually they don't do kind of creative activity, but if you do something like playing music, or you draw something, you do some artwork or something like that, it would tell us about yourself a little bit more. That so I understand you more about what type of person are you. So yeah, they do ask something like that. The next question is, all education experience steps are already there in the resume, so is it okay to repeat all of them again? Vincent, do you want to answer this one?
Yeah. So education experience, when I talk about them, quick read. So I would say, oh, I am currently studying at UC Davis with whatever major I'm in. And some of the experience I have are like Roku, Telenav, and then I will go into more technical detail and my impact. So one thing that I like to say is I use the technologies for the purpose of improving continuous deployment or improving, I guess, optimizing infrastructure or stuff like that. So it is okay to reiterate some of the stuff that you already have. It's okay to repeat them, but it's not okay to talk mainly about them. So the education experience, I would just brief them, and then I would talk more in detail of the contribution that I made in these specific roles or the technology that I learned from education and how they can apply to the companies that I'm interviewing for.
Yeah, that's very good answer. So that is the last question, and we are running out of time here. So thank you very much, everyone, and thank you, Vincent, for helping me with the slides and presentation. Okay, and I'll see everyone next on Thursday. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
All right, that's a wrap, guys. So I think I was muted there, but I just wanted to say, one of the things that Professor Stephen talked about was the fear of failure. So um, getting over that is very helpful, and two of the ways you can make that easier is improving on that skill that you're interviewing for, or just accepting what has happened, right? And what I mean by that is, if you go through an interview and you feel that or you didn't get the interview, accepting the fact that maybe that company's not fit for you, or that maybe your preparedness was just a little bit off. Sometimes we prepare for an interview in one direction and the interview takes us another, so that's perfectly fine. It's not it doesn't mean that you can't interview for that company again, or it doesn't mean that you were a bad candidate. It just means that at that moment something went the other direction and that you were hoping for, and it didn't work out, but you got the practice in, and that's huge. Practice, practice, practice. Practice with interviews, practice with the skill that you're doing. If you're a game programmer, keep coding, and don't give up. That's the best part. So yeah, if you have any questions, go ahead and shoot me an email. I think right now it's above. Yeah, right there. And I'll forward those questions to Professor Steven. The Slack channel is mostly for his students, but like I said, we're good friends, and I asked him permission to stream his talks, and I hope you guys enjoyed. If you have any questions, please, 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 please. I love to help people, so feel free to shoot me a message. And I'll be on later on streaming, maybe some heroes tonight. New rank system, new season starts today, so I will be trying to rank this season. And hit the follow button, subscribe if you like more, and slowly but surely I'll be getting website fixed, not fixed, but cleaner, adding games and showing you guys how to program games as well. So those of you that are trying to become game programmers, game designers, artists, I can help you guys out as well. All right, so thanks again, guys. Take care of each other. See you later. Peace.